You know, when you're watching television and you're hearing the talking heads go on about this guy's a top 5 player, he's a top 10 player, he's a top 20 player. Well, I had to sit down and figure out, is that person actually a top 25 player? Top 20? I needed to make my own list. So I sat down and made my own list. My name is Bill Gagne, and this is Royal City Hoops Podcast. My big motivation between or about getting this list done was that I have Ben Simmons on 2 of my fantasy teams, and he hasn't been traded yet. And I really need him to be traded. So I started trying to figure out, who could you trade for him? Who is realistically are you going to trade for him? And, you know, you're hearing these names thrown about Daryl Morey wants a top 25 player. And I thought, who is that? So I didn't make the most scientific of lists. I sat down and I thought, okay, I wrote a list of every team and I wrote who are the best players on those teams without really pulling up too many rosters or any of that, just off the top of my head. Who is it? So it was very easy to come up with a couple parts of the list because I have one part of the list that is just guys who are injured. Okay. Kyrie Irving, not playing or about to start playing, so he could move on to the list, but he hasn't played a game yet. You have Zion, Kawhi, Clay, who's going to play, but hasn't played yet, and Ben Simmons, who is not playing. So they're on my injured list. We'll call it the injured list, the not playing list, or however you want to put it. Then I had my first tier, and I think everybody's going to have these 6 guys on their first tier. Steph, Jokic, Luka, Giannis, LeBron, and KD. They're all going to be on your top 5 or 6. However you feel about LeBron, he's still an amazing player. My next tier is a couple of guys who are playing like second-tier players this season, whereas you may not have put them there before. CP3, yes, he's on my second tier. He's playing so well that I'm putting him there, and Phoenix is playing so well. You could not put him there. That's your call. DeMar DeRozan I am putting there because he is clearly playing great in Chicago, and they are playing great. And then the standard guys in there, PG, James Harden, who would probably normally be in my first tier, but having watched the Nets play, and he is either injured or not fully recovered, out of shape, however you want to deem it, is not playing at that level. And Joel Embiid, plus Bradley Beal. Embiid could be in your tier 1. Up to you. And then Bradley Beal, who's just a great, great player on a pretty good team. Now, I also have a bunch of honorable mentions, and then the remaining half of my first for top 30, right? So if we want to sit there and we want to take your tier 1, your tier 2, and your injured, because those guys on your injured list are most likely going to be in your top 30. We're at 17. My math is terrible. There's 17 guys there. I've got 15 guys on my miscellaneous. I'm not really including the 5 injured guys right now. I would have to redo this list when they do start playing. So let's just say I've got 27 spots. 12 of them are in stone. 5 of them are flex. And then 15 of them are, you could have them, you could not have them. Because my honorable mention list has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, has Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Bam Adebayo, both LaMelo Ball and Lonzo Ball, DeAndre Ayton, and CJ McCollum. What you're going to see on the list that I have is a lot of these guys playing on the same team. They are sharing time. They're playing on the same rosters, and their teams are good, maybe not great. So I've got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are on a good team, not a great team. The Celtics are okay, but you're not trading either of those guys without getting a good deal in return. You have them. There's been talk about the Celtics trading them, but why are you going to trade someone just to trade someone? It doesn't make sense. Keep those guys. If a good deal comes along to make you better, do it. Otherwise, don't. Danny Ainge would have believed in that as well. So again, a lot of these guys are on the same team. You got Embiid and Simmons. Sixers are a pretty good team when they're together. You've got CP3. I've got Devon Booker on my list. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert on my list. Draymond, Clay, and Steph on my list. I've got Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis on my list. But again, we're clouding all this up. Good teams will have more than one of these guys. So that's important to keep in mind for the Simmons trade because you don't want to give up an asset and then just Simmons is your only good player. You need another good player with him unless you're one of the teams lower down. Hello, Sacramento Kings. You're going to trade anything to get him. So let's go to my remaining list here. I've got Anthony Davis and Dame at the top of that list. Now, those guys aren't playing great. Dame hasn't really played great. He could get it back. He seems to be sliding into the groove. Again, very weird season, COVID injuries, 2 compressed seasons leading up. Just it's a very weird scenario to be judging him by. But again, he hasn't shot it well. Portland is at this time out of the play-in. So he is not in my top 2 tiers. Otherwise, he probably would have been in my top 2 tiers. AD could easily be in your top tier based on talent and expectation. His numbers are okay, but when you watch the Lakers play, which I have probably 3 times, unfortunately, they are very uninspired. He's now injured. He has not been impacting winning. And that's problematic when you're a team that's that good on paper. I don't like their roster composition. I don't like the fit of Westbrook, who's making $44 million. And you're not getting $44 million of production for him. You're not getting $30 million worth of production from him. Maybe you're getting 20 based on today's market. But you need more because all your other guys are almost all minimums. And for me right now, if I was the Lakers, I'd be regretting that deal for Russ. I would have waited for another deal or made a different deal. Or kept the guys that you had and just kept looking. I mean, I would have kept Alex Caruso and some of those guys and tried to get better or whatever. But they took a risk and maybe it works out. Maybe we're judging them too soon because they haven't had a lot of health, a lot of COVID. But again, watching them the other night, especially the Christmas Day game and then the game before that, just I won't be watching them again for a while unless they start going on a run. Now, after that, I've got one of my favorites is Chris Middleton. I love him in the fourth quarter. I love how he plays. It's not complicated. He's got good post-up game, good mid-range. The guy shoots 40, 50, 90 almost for the last 3 years. I like shooters. He's got an abbreviated release, gets it off quick, just won a chip, played big in the clutch. What's not to like? So he's an easy pick for me. Not a top 2 tier guy, but a winner and a really good player. Drew Holiday might be towards the lower end of my remaining top 30. He could easily not be on the list. I think I'm suffering from a little bit of championship hangover and recency bias, but he's there. I just went with my list and my gut said put him on. But he does so much for that team. I've got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, Utah, top 4 team. I'd say they're number 4 in the NBA right now behind Golden State, Phoenix, Milwaukee. Utah's right there. Donovan Mitchell has, to me, taken another step, making the 3 more consistently. Looks like he really has a better feel for it. His pace is better. And Rudy just impacts the game so much. I don't care what anybody says. You watch them play. Other teams can move. They have trouble with him. He makes Utah better in a tangible way. And sure, the Clippers played him off the floor, but whatever. Like, that's one series, and we're talking regular season here. Next, I've got Devon Booker on my list. If you look at the Suns, they've got a lot of players I really like. Mikal Bridges. I've got Ayton on my honorable mention. I got CP3 in my tier 3 or tier 2. They're just good. They're just good. And it's easy to understand why. After Booker could be somebody who's on your tier 2 list. He can move up really quick. All depends on who you are. I've got Ja Morant in my remaining. Ja, electric, having a great year. Recently injured also on my fantasy team. Can't wait for him to get back. He is back. He just came back. Electric. Only getting better. Memphis, shockingly, with him out, had a winning record. Desmond Bane playing great for them. They're a winning team. They're moving in the right direction. A lot of teams are not. Jamal Murray. I should have put him on my injured list. Why did I have him here? Jeez, I was not smart on my. So I got 6 guys on my injured list. Jamal Murray, Denver. Denver is somehow still in the mix in the playoffs for the Western Conference because Jokic is just such a beast. His passing is contagious. They move the ball well, but they are decimated. Michael Porter Jr., back surgery again, done. Jamal Murray, done. What are you going to do here? You can't get more from Aaron Gordon. He is not a superstar. He is a superstar role player. He is not one of your top 2 guys. You can't expect him to be that much better. He's just a great all-around guy, defensively, moving the ball, makes enough threes, slashing into the hoop. Denver's just doing the best they can. And some nights they just get rolled. And other nights, they're a plucky, fun team where Jokic just crushes it and he could win another MVP. Now, let's talk about Draymond Green. So I've got Clay on the injured list. I've got Draymond. I've got Steph in my tier 1. Golden State's a juggernaut. Super fun to watch, as is Phoenix. So easy to understand why Draymond's on this list. And I don't think you could not have him on your top 30. Maybe he doesn't score a lot of points. Maybe he can't shoot himself in the foot. Can't throw it in the ocean when he's ankle deep. But he impacts the game and makes your team win when he's motivated. And this year, compared to past seasons, you're seeing the old Draymond Green really take over the game and impact it, not the Draymond of the seasons for the last 2 years getting his butt kicked. Trae Young's in there now. Sure, he sucks on defense, but his offense really mitigates a lot of that and makes up for it because offensively he makes those guys around. His shooting transformative for their offense because you got to push out so far. They're not playing well right now. I think if we get past this COVID bit, as the season moves forward, they move higher up in the Eastern Conference. But hey, both conferences, if you look at teams 5, 6, all the way to 11, they're separated by about 3.5 games. It's not a lot. So a lot can be done very quickly. I mean, you're looking at Paul George being injured for the Clippers. They are 5th in the West. They can easily lose 3 games and be out of the play-in. No problem. So things on the playoff landscape can change very quickly between now and the end of the season. So it makes it a lot of fun to talk about because you never know who's going to be where come the end of the year, especially right now. We talked about Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Zach LaVine's in there. I have DeMar as my surprise tier 2 guy. I got Zach LaVine, and then I've got Lonzo in my honorable mention. Chicago is a team that if you are not watching them, they are super fun. They play fast. No passing lane is safe when Caruso and Lonzo are on the floor. Super fun to watch. And they'll play 4 guards, essentially, in Vooch. They're having some health issues. Patrick Williams would have been a nice piece to have. They could have used keeping Larry Nance when part of the trade with Cleveland went down. Maybe Thad Young becomes available from San Antonio. Who knows? San Antonio is not known for midseason deals. I don't think they've made one in 2 decades. So Zach LaVine playing great, and playing well with DeRozan and all those guys. And it just goes to show you sometimes you just need the right players around you. Last on my list, not last, but the last one I'm going to mention on the list is one of my favorites is Jimmy Butler. Guy just wins, plays hard, heat culture, blah, 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 blah. So taking that list in, taking in that Daryl Morey asked for a top 25 player, who are you trading? If you're any of these guys. You're Utah, you're not trading anybody. Phoenix, top 4, they're not trading. And if you're the Celtics, you're giving up either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum in your division for Ben Simmons. Is he better than those guys? Simmons is good. I'm not saying he's garbage. Even if everybody was healthy, I would have him on my top 25 or top 30, we'll say. But he's not that much better than those guys that I'm going to trade him straight up. I need more. Jimmy Butler, he's not going to Miami. Ben Simmons isn't a Heat culture guy. Miami's got Bam, Tyler Hero coming on. I mean, he could be on this list eventually. Right now, he's not. He's not on my list. He's a walking bucket, yeah, and he fits into what they're doing, but he's not there yet. If you're Minnesota and you have D'Angelo Russell and they're willing to take him, I'm signing that today. I think they're a team that's been mentioned in the mix for Ben Simmons. So is Sacramento, which I don't understand why Sacramento isn't making that deal. De'Aaron Fox is untouchable? Really? You haven't sniffed the playoffs. Like, you haven't made the playoffs or the play-in in 5 years maybe. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me right now. And you drafted 2 guards after him. You had De'Aaron Fox. You drafted Tyrese Halliburton and Davion Mitchell in successive years. Why is De'Aaron Fox untouchable? You've got Buddy Hield. You could move guys, and Ben Simmons instantly makes Sacramento better. I would unload De'Aaron Fox, ship him out, bring in Ben Simmons. We're making the plan. Because Simmons doesn't need the ball, and you can let Halliburton free. Yeah, I mean, Halliburton needs the ball. Donovan, what's his name? Mitchell. Davion Mitchell doesn't need the ball that much. So you're instantly better. Defensively, you're better. You're going to play faster. You're going to get better buckets. So much of the NBA now is having more grab-and-go guys and playing looser in the half court. Faster, more possessions, up and down, quicker shots. It isn't the smash mouth ball that you see. Look at Golden State. When they get a rebound, look at Phoenix. When they get a rebound, it isn't your interior guy gets a rebound, look for your point guard. It's you get a rebound and you can push it up, you're going to get it moving. I'm not talking fast break opportunity, but you don't need the point guard. You need a ball handler. And a lot of teams have guys who they can dribble it up. It's not as conformist as it was. More freewheeling offense, less bash ball. You're taking more threes, so you need guys who can get longer rebounds. You don't need your traditional, quote-unquote, power forward and center to get all your rebounds because they're not all close to the hoop. Guys are shooting floaters. Guys are shooting mid-range push shots. They're shooting threes, or they're getting all the way to the rim. And if they're getting all the way to the rim, it's because it's so spread out. So you need guys who can hunt the ball as rebounders. You don't need traditional, box out, get rebounds kind of guys. So what do you think? Who are you trading? I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma City. I have actually watched Oklahoma City on purpose a number of times, and I'll tell you what. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, and Lou Dort, I like what they have there. Their front line sucks. That's why they're not winning as much. But they're in games, and they've won 11 games already. We're 30-some games in. They've won 11. I don't know that you would have thought to start the year that they'd win 11. I had watched a little bit of Josh Giddey, and I'm like, he's going to help them win games right away. Sure, his shooting leaves a little bit to the desired, but he's 6'8". He rebounds the ball. And this is one of the things you're seeing with a lot of the guards coming in, especially some of the foreign guards, and you see it with the NBA guards as they get older, is the shot goes up, and instead of staying on the perimeter, they take steps into the key to get a rebound because, again, we're seeing longer rebounds. So Giddey, Luka was the first one I saw do this, and it wasn't a stat-chasing thing. With Westbrook, he's going in to get the rebound. It's a triple-double chase. It's a joke, and you're hearing about it in the media. But Luka was the first. Giddey does it. A lot of the bigger guards do it. You'll see Beal do it. You'll see a lot of guards step in when the shot goes up as opposed to standing next to the guy shooting or standing next to the guy in the way. They need to do that because, again, we talked about grab and go. If he can get a rebound 12 feet from the hoop and start running the other way, it doesn't have to be a fast break, but it's a delayed transition that gets the game moving faster, more shots, more threes, more open looks. It's just more fun to watch than the stuff I watched in the 90s. And again, who who are you trading for Ben Simmons? I'm not trading any of those guys on the list. I'm not trading Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert. I'm not trading. Well, maybe I'll trade Rudy Gobert, but then you're doing something totally different. Maybe I just came up with one. But if you're Philly, why are you trading for Rudy Gobert? You got to have multiple teams on that deal. So, what do you think? Who's getting traded here? Oh, I got some. This ball looks awful. Gotta fix that. Who are you trading it for? I don't know. I don't think there's a top 25 player out there that I'm going 1-for-1. That makes sense in any deal. That's what I got to say. And I'm going to finish off as I usually do. Like if you like, comment if you got something to say, and subscribe at your own risk.